Welcome back. This is Hope at Dawn. And right about now, we're about to look into the newspapers and see what is happening. And of course, the biggest news of the day today is on Kenya at 60. Happy Jamhuri Day to each and every one of you. I see dreams of our fathers. And at independence, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, our founding father, had lofty dreams for the country. Ones that would free citizens from poverty, ignorance, hunger, and disease. But 60 years later, and with the fifth president just 1 year into office, it's a mixed bag for Kenya. And I guess, unfortunately, there's not much to be celebrated, even with regards to the newspapers today, because it just, returns us to the fact that Mzee Jomo Kenyatta had such big dreams, and now 5 presidents in, we still have a little, hiccups even when it comes to most issues that we are having in the country. And these are stories that we can find on the pages 4, 5, 6, 7, and also 17, which is basically dominating the papers today. And maybe just looking at this particular one on page 4, this is the poverty survey. An average Kenyan adult spends a total of 7,398 per month on food and non-food items. And urban hunger rises as harsh economy bites is the story. And researchers say there is still a large number of people who are food poor in urban areas, and this is 60 years after independence. This is definitely quite unfortunate. And I can see a little bit of statistics right here, and I see that according to Kenya Poverty Report 2021, nationally, female-headed households had a higher poverty headcount rate of 38.8% compared to 32.7% for their male counterparts across marital status. Female-headed households in polygamous marriages had a higher national poverty headcount, and this is of 49.4%. However, urban male-headed households in polygamous marriages have the highest propensity of poverty at 54.8% compared to their counterparts in unions across all areas of residence. The poverty headcount rate increases with household size across all domains of residence. This is quite unfortunate, and you can find this story on the page 4 of the Daily Nation. And in other news also, just regarding the same issue of the milestones that have been or not made, I see that we have Kenya makes great strides in education, which I would say has been the most improved sector, but more is still needed because successive regimes after President Kenyatta strive to achieve a dream of fighting poverty through education. And we see here, we also see a very nice picture here of youths rehearsing in preparation for this year's Jamhuri Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens, Nairobi on Sunday. There were some rehearsals happening, and the youth will be gracing the grounds this very day with some beautiful, beautiful performances. And I also see we are all Kenyans and we will go to any school in our country. This is the founding president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. That is the statement that he made years and years ago. All right. And I also see something to be happy about right here. Nairobi Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei at police headquarters on September the 1st says that city residents are assured of tight security during celebrations, because today can be a day that burglars and thieves take advantage of people, especially in the gardens, where there are crowds. But there is an assurance here that safety will be given top priority. And in other news, also just regarding the milestones that we have made, I also see new foreign policy or same old approach. Ruto government says it's pursuing economic and commercial diplomacy. And for most of 6 decades, the foreign policy has been driven by unintentional impulses. This is Dr. Bob Wekesa who gave a view on that particular story. And you can find this story on page 7. And by the way, experts say soft power neutrality and non-aligned posture has made many countries trust Kenya. So those are just some of the news that are regarding the Kenya at 60. kind of a wrap up just to see what strides have we made, what strides have we not made. I also see motorists face higher charges in NTSA plan, and this is a story that you can find on the back page. The transport sector regulator proposes to review its service charges by up to a whopping 3,900% to plug a budget deficit of more than 2.37 billion. A proposal by the National Transport and Safety Authority, that is NTSA, says the agency has been reporting a deficit in its financial performance over time, with a shortfall of 550 million in the financial year that just ended in the date of June 30th. And I think we have seen this story trending on social media, that is on the counties, and I see it's over, says man at center of Bomet wedding drama. Now, this was an interesting story because it's literally trending everywhere. And he says, I've cried a tank full of tears before arriving at the decision to sever their relationship for good. This is happening in Bomet. This happened in Bomet, and accusations fly back and forth as Amos and Nelly's eagerly awaited church union fails at the last minute. This is really, really unfortunate. And Mr. Amos Rono, his word, he says that I have to let her go. I wish her well in her future life endeavors, and I have nothing against her or her family. So this is really, really unfortunate, because this was a wedding that was to happen in Bomet, but then it got called off. I hear there were some allegations of maybe a third party, a bit of infidelity here and there. But we just wish both of them well, because hapo karusi hivyo ndio kameenda. I wonder if people still ate the food now, because now since this got called off, literally just it was really, really close to the wedding happening. But anyway, moving over, we see bursaries will take up to 40% of NGCDF as Ruto signs law. Climate change fight and development of digital hubs will also draw from the fund. This is another news that is just talking about the NGCDF, and apparently it is to take up, bursaries will now take up to 40% of that. And also the additional allocation to educational bursaries will play a key role in ensuring continuity and completion of education by students. So that's it. And maybe when we look at some other news, probably just look at the back page and see what is happening. I see motorist car dealers face higher fees in NTSA plan, the news that I had mentioned earlier. Transport regulator says move intended to plug a budget deficit of more than 2.37 billion. That's definitely a big amount. We are asking that we adjust to be able to offer services at a proper rate in full success to the citizens of Kenya. All right. And maybe looking at some sports, Kenya sides record mixed results in CAF qualifiers. So Somali's Anas Mohamed Abdi, I see him tussling for the ball with Uganda's Gideon Jamba. This is yesterday during the CECAFA zonal qualifiers for 2024. This is African Schools Football Championship at Kasarani Annex in Nairobi. AK launches holiday training program on 42 locations as well. I also see Vihiga Queen's Titan grip on League Top Sport. All these are stories that are on the back page, that is on page 33. We have Newcastle United Die Hard Logran inspired sports journalism. See, Peter Njenga recalls his meeting with fallen journalism legend Gary Logran, training him as a journalist and drinking beer on an empty stomach and near scare with authorities while trying to send a story to him. Quite an interesting story. You can find that on page 33. ITF Women's World Tennis Tour is entering its third day in Nairobi as well. This is a story you can find on page 32. And I see Okutoyi and Yego fight on in championship. The two win singles matches in main draw of tournament at Karen Country Club. You can find this story on page 32 of the Daily Nation. And maybe when we look at the standard, some of the highlights that we are seeing here, Actually, the very first thing is on Country in Darkness. And I think most people experienced this happening day before yesterday. We see blackout menace is literally touching on so many areas. Sunday's national outage resulted in huge losses for businesses, nightmare for hospitals without backup generators, and frustrations for millions of homesteads. The Energy CS blamed the frequent blackouts on a lack of investment and said rationing, especially in Western Kenya, will help, even as Road CS blamed JKIA power cut on sabotage. That is what is happening. And when we just look at some words that have been said regarding the same, 9.2 million households have been connected to national grid, up from 2.3 million in 2013. So you can imagine just how much this blackout, struck on the most areas in the country. David Chichuru, the Energy CS, anasema we know where the problem is and we are addressing it. The gist of it is the lack of investment over a long time. We will be scheduling some load shedding in particular areas where lines are constrained. Kipchumba Murkomen, who is the Transport CS as well, says assign a team of investigators to investigate this recent failure to ensure that these are not the acts of sabotage, taking into account that the JKIA is a facility of strategic national security. And I think the ile kizungumkuti ilikuwa, the biggest was how do we lose light also in JKIA? What about the generators? What issue was there in particular? And I see Bernard Osero, head of corporate affairs. There was a ship with only 20 containers, but it could not be worked on until morning because the cranes require power. And he says that this was a big loss because ships usually make money when they are in the high seas. And the number of national outages experienced in the country this year so far have been 4 of them. So this is not a small number at all, especially considering that this is a national outage, not just a particular area. And the hits and misses as Kenya turns 60. The country celebrates 60 years of independence, a milestone that brings with it lessons learned, those missed, and what the future holds for Kenyans. And maybe we can just take a sneak peek into the pages 4 and 6 just to see where is our country, even with these celebrations that we're going to be having today. And I see Ruto has very little to offer today as he addresses broke citizens. Oh, President grappling with the same enduring issues as his predecessors, with his first year in power turning out to be a baptism by fire. A raft of new taxes and levies introduced by Kenya Kwanza government over the past 1 year have made life even more difficult for Kenyans than it was last year. And I believe that many people are just waiting to see what will Ruto say today. But as the papers are telling us, he has very little to offer today as he addresses broke citizens. But let's see how this is going to turn out by the end of the day. President William Ruto, I see him during the National Youth Service and remember, he initially recruited passing out parade at NYS Paramilitary Academy in Gilgil. And so we are on a clean page. I commit that we will be faithful to transforming all sectors of our economy. Everyone will, however, have to play their role to build a nation that fits all of us. So basically what he's alluding to, this is President William Ruto, that we all have to play our part in general to make sure that we see the fruits of our hard work. And I also see another, area of improvement or issues that are happening. We have message from the German ambassador to Kenya. Anasema pongezi Kenya kwa miaka 60 ya uhuru. Yes, still something to be celebrated as well, 60 years of independence. And I also see Climate and Energy Corporation. That is also something else, a view of the geothermal power station. This is in Olkaria in Kenya. And Kenya is a leader when it comes to the use of renewable energy in Africa. It already generates about 90% of its electricity from renewable sources, primarily geothermal power, hydropower, and as well wind power. We also have a bit of development in the Development Corporation testimonials. We have 2 students undergoing their apprenticeship training at Build Her, a non-profit organization that equips Kenyan women with skills in construction and manufacturing in Nairobi. And the organization is supported by German Development Corporation. All right, we have Denzel Wanjohi, an automotive mechatronic student from Nairobi Technical Training as well. We see some development, especially when it comes to the technical part of the schooling and such issues. And also, maybe lastly, we can look at the cost of living. Weakening shilling expected to be top in Ruto's address. This is the very thing I think everyone is waiting to hear. So what will Ruto say about the state of the economy as of now? And I see one just holding a board that says the poor cannot sleep because they are hungry, and the rich cannot sleep because the poor are awake and hungry. I think we understand what this even means, because I've had conversations with several people, and they're alluding to that we've had a lot of insecurity in the country currently, especially during this time of the festive season where such cases actually double up. So this is what is happening. You know, the poor cannot sleep because they're hungry. So what happens is that most of them are now engaging in burglary and theft. So the cost of living weakening shilling expected to be top in Ruto's address. That is what we are looking forward to hearing. And Andati suggests that the president should appoint top economists to lead the treasury. President Ruto should provide hope by explaining how the economy will be fixed to lower the cost of living. This is the decry of so many people. And 29.8%, this is the percentage of the value the Kenya shilling has lost this year. Can you imagine? 29.8%. If nothing is done, analysts fear inflation could reach the levels seen in 1992. We are literally being taken back to history when the shilling was very, very low. 29.8%. That is how low the value has gone down. And so I think we need to really pray for our nation even at this point, because there's just a lot happening, and with the cost of living, we do not know what the future holds. But good thing we know who holds our future. So I believe that all is going to be well. My prayer is that also the leaders, the government, will really look into this matter, because at the end of it all, we chose these leaders and they need to do something for us. South Africa Bell stretches lead on day 2. That is on the back page of the Standard Sports. The East African Safari Classic Rally action enters day 2. Stage 2 Rombo Oloitoktok was cancelled due to rain and mud. All right. Driver Eugenio Amos, we have and co-driver Paolo Sesiamboseli in action yesterday. Wow. This is very interesting for those who love, a good safari classic rally action. And I also see Kenya Highland Seed Lift Ndume Cup. That's on the very back page of the sport. On page 30, Champions League groups climax with Manchester United, Newcastle on the brink. Okay, I see Ten Hag under scrutiny as Manchester United fight for Champions League survival. We also have the Red Devils sit 6th in the Premier League after 7 defeats in 16 games. Ooh, that's that's a lot of defeats. What about Man U? Well, you need to pray. Home losers Manchester United have suffered since Sir Alex Ferguson retirement. Oh my goodness. Okay, you can get this news on page 30 and also 31 of the Standard. And I see we have about 5 minutes, so maybe we can just peruse through the Business Daily just to see, okay, what is happening in the business world. Kenya starts power rationing despite excess generation. This is the news that is also cutting across the Standard newspaper, and we also have on the Business Daily as well. So Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary David Chichire. So we have, he leads senior sector officials at a press briefing yesterday in Nairobi on the Sunday evening nationwide power outage. I think literally everybody was affected by this. And I see that Kenya Power will start rationing electricity supply, targeting the western region to ease pressure on the aging electricity equipment that struggles to accommodate the sudden increase in demand. So I think this is something that we could, be expecting, and it is important for us to prepare adequately. Also, states to pay extra 4.7 billion for botched JKIA terminal. So the government will pay an additional 4.7 billion to 2 Chinese contractors as a part of an out-of-court settlement for the cancellation of a tender to build the second terminal at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport 8 years ago. All right. We also have NTSA shocks motorists with charges rise of up to 3,900, and I think we also looked at that in the Standard and also the Daily. And I also see a defends smaller cuts on coal tariffs. All right. So the Communications Authority of Kenya has defended its decision to effect a smaller than recommended cut on the mobile termination rate, citing a need to strike a balance in protecting investment and as well as customer interest. Okay, let us look at Kenya's foreign policy at a crossroad 60 years after attaining independence. Still on the celebrations that we are having today, and I see balancing the competing interests of the global East and West has always been a challenge, as choosing either comes with consequences. Kenya celebrating its 60th Jamhuri Day today, and Government of the Day under President William Ruto says it is pursuing economic and commercial diplomacy. Yet that is, hardly a departure from the past where the vagueness on some issues and vocal stances on other persisted in foreign policy. So grievances on the streets of the world today, including in Kenya, can be remedied with a feminist foreign policy that promotes equality, demilitarization, diplomacy, multilateral cooperation to solve these problems as opposed to conventional solutions. All right, let's see what else the Business Daily has. I see Kenyan farms hiding cyber attacks. This is in Kasait. All right. So the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, ODPC, has urged institutions to stop covering up when they experience cyber attacks, even as it expresses worry over a serious shortage of professionals in the cybersecurity profession at a time when the country is witnessing an increase in easing cases of online attacks. We have this happening in a very, very big way. And even looking at this story of CA defends smaller cuts on coal tariffs, you can find this story on page 5, quite an interesting story. And also maybe I see Surgeon turned entrepreneur, Okeleji's big dream for Africa employee welfare. Such a beautiful story. This is Seamless HR targets 20 million payrolls. Assuming each of these employees supports 5 dependents, this translates to 100 million people likely to be impacted by the firm's payroll and HR or people management solutions. Very interesting story by Evans Ongwae. This is on page 7. You can read that on the Business Daily. And on the back page of the Business Daily, I see Kenyan shillings free fall slows down on rising dollar inflows. Currency has shed on average 3 cents to the greenback since the beginning of December, compared to 12 cents a day in November. So the shilling has seen its rate of weakening against the dollar fall to its lowest pace since the beginning of the year, reflecting reduced demand and improved supply of dollars in the economy. So that is some really, really nice story that you can find on page 24. That is on the analysis by Charles Mwaniki. So that is what we have on the papers today. So you can grab one of these, the Daily Nation. We have the Business Daily as well as the Standard newspaper, and get all this news as you would like them. And by the way, you can also stay tuned right here so that you can also have updates as they come on Hope FM at hopemedia.org as well. And also you can listen to Hope FM for the top of the hour news each and every single hour. And also right here on Hope TV, we have Dira that will be happening at exactly 7 p.m. We also have News Watch at 9 p.m. So you can stay in line and also get to know what is happening in the country, especially regarding the celebrations that are taking place today at Uhuru Gardens regarding the Jamhuri Day celebrations. Remember, Kenya is at celebrating 60 years of independence. If anything, this is still something to be happy about. So right about now, we are going to be looking at the video of the day today. day. That is the song Relax by Christina Shusho. It doesn't matter what you're going through, just relax because God is there for you and He's going to work on your behalf. This has been the newspaper segment. So when we get back, we'll be analyzing the video of the day.